continue our theme of resilience this morning. As we do so, we read this morning from Proverbs. This is a book of wisdom readings in our Old Testament that offers ideas about how to live life. And we read from the 3rd chapter of that book these words. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not rely on your own insight. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil. It will be a healing for your flesh and a refreshment for your body. Resilience. The ability to come back from difficulty, trauma, hurt, and pain. Or as one writer defined it, resilience is the ability to come back from trauma even stronger, better, and more powerful than before the trauma. In other words, using the trauma experience as an opportunity for growth. Resilience. More than surviving, thriving. Resilience. The ability to keep on loving no matter what. Now, I know talking to all of you about resilience is kind of like talking to people who are saying, well, yeah, we know about resilience. You know what resilience is. You are resilient. I've seen you, I've watched you, I've experienced you being resilient. As I was reading Option B by Sheryl Sandberg and Adam Grant, in which they talk about resilience, I was fascinated by their discussion of resilience, of saying that we can build resilience. And maybe it just spoke to me, but I thought I'd invite you to think about it, because they talk about building resilience in those times in between trauma. Those are the times when we can build resilience. I tend to say, oh, well, I got through that one, so maybe, hopefully, nothing ever will happen bad again. That's not building resilience. That's living in a fantasy world. Building resilience is choosing to say we are going to help ourselves grow and get stronger, so that the next time we encounter trauma, hurt, pain, or difficulty, because we will, maybe we can deal with it better. I in no way want you to hear, or hope you ever hear, me suggesting that we do not hurt. Resilience does not mean we do not suffer, we do not hurt, we do not feel pain. Resilience does not mean everything's okay, just buck it up and be strong. Resilience means we actually live into the pain, that we allow ourselves to hurt, feel, cry, scream, get angry, struggle, whatever. But resilience then is coming back from that difficult time. A resilience researcher by the name of Dr. Dennis Charney, who was the dean of the Icahn School of Medicine, Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City. A resilience researcher. He researched resilience for 25 years. He's even written a book on resilience. In 2016, Dr. Charney stopped at a deli in a little town on his way to work, where he went every morning, got his bagel, his iced coffee. As he came out of the deli, he was shot with a gun. He spent 5 days in intensive care and then began his rehab from the shooting. For some reason, this struck me as a physician, a dean of Mount Sinai Medical School, a resilient researcher, obviously somebody that is pretty smart, pretty put together, has all sorts of resources, all sorts of opportunities. These kind of things don't happen to people like that, do they? And he was gunned down. It didn't kill him. But it put him in intensive care for 5 days. He writes, after 25 years of studying resilience, I had to be resilient myself. Then he goes on to say, it's good to be prepared for it, but it's not too late once you've been traumatized to build the capacity to move forward in a resilient way. I heard the text this morning. The writer of Proverbs is full of little witticisms about how to live life. We need to be extremely cautious and not hear them as saying, well, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not count on your own understanding. That doesn't mean, well, we just give up thinking. That doesn't mean we give up trying to figure things out. That doesn't mean we give up using our reason. That doesn't mean we just say, oh, okay, well, God, you're in charge. I'll just go along for the ride. What it does mean is that we need to reconsider this whole experience of life and think about what we expect. More than likely, those moments in which we experience resilience, we are demanded to be resilient when life doesn't happen the way we think life ought to happen. And so the writer says, it's not just about you. Look to God. Look to other people. And don't think that you can figure it out on your own. It takes God and other people to bring about true resilience. Let's see if the Apple TV will work. Looky there. Isn't that wonderful? You all wanted to see the home screen on my iPad, didn't you? This is going to work perfectly. But I enjoyed deceiving myself. In their book Option B, and Option B is, well, if Option A doesn't work, then you go to Option B. And I know a lot of us are on Option Z. But nevertheless, in the book Option B, Sheryl Sandberg and Adam Grant say that when we build resilience, there are some things we need to avoid. And they came up with 3 P's. And I resonated with these, maybe you don't. They said one of the P's is personalization. When something bad happens, we tend to personalize it. In other words, I said, oh, I messed up again. It's my fault. I always do something wrong. I messed up. Blaming ourselves. Saying, well, this thing happened because I made too many bad decisions. Or this thing happened because I should have turned left there instead of turning right. This thing happened because I did something wrong. We personalize it, forgetting that almost, if not everything that happens in our life is a result of how many thousands of other things happening as well. It's not just me. Or we personalize it by saying, this always happens to me. This always happens to me. Those people, they always mistreat me. Or I'm always the butt of somebody's joke. We personalize it. We take it personally. Or we say, well, God must have something against me. I mean, God rained on my parade again. It's only me. This is where the writer of Proverbs says, don't trust in your own reason. Turn to God. Because God is much bigger than just me. I'm not God. Thank goodness. And it's not just me. So they say, avoid personalizing. I'm really good at personalizing, okay? I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm extremely good at personalizing. The next P is pervasiveness. And this says if something bad happens, that means the rest of my life is ruined. Of course we feel that way. It's natural. I'm not saying we should never feel these. We just don't get stuck in them. For example, how many of you young people take tests at school? Okay? And if you take a test and you knew all the answers on the test, but you missed 3 questions, and you say, oh, that's just terrible. I knew all the answers. How did I miss 3? Well, you just did. Don't get pervasiveness and say, okay, the rest of my life's ruined. I missed 3 questions on a test. Nothing will ever happen good again. My whole life is absolutely ruined. Forever and ever. Nothing will be any good anymore. We tend to be that way. If something bad happens, particularly, that's a minor trauma, okay? But, well, not for some people. But for most of us, that's a minor trauma. We make it pervasive and say it's ruined the rest of my life. And sometimes allow that personalization to come into this. And we say to ourselves, well, this bad thing has happened. The rest of my life's ruined. So if I ever feel any joy or happiness again, I better beat myself up about it because I can't feel good. I'm not supposed to. Personalization, pervasiveness. And then the next one is permanence. Trauma happens, and we tend to think, well, this is it. My life is totally ruined. Nothing good can ever happen again. I tell you what, when I experience hurt and pain in my life and difficult moments, I go to these 3 P's extremely quickly, and I just kind of live there. It's all my fault, or it's all their fault. Everything is ruined everything, and it'll never be any better. They talk about words, always, everyone. Dr. Martin Siegel, who did the research to come up with these 3 P's that says that it inhibits our ability to be resilient, says when we use words like always, everywhere, and everyone, we're exhibiting permanence. And if you've listened to me talk very much, I try not to do it in sermons, but if you listen to me talk in personal life, I say, oh man, that happened 1 billion times. Always. Oh, everybody. I go there so quickly, unconsciously, without even thinking about it. Nothing's ever permanent. If you have a bad game, if you miss test questions, that doesn't mean the rest of your life is going to be terrible. Dr. Charney has showed resilience. He chose not to personalize being shot. He chose not to say it was pervasive, ruining the rest of his life, and it wasn't a permanent situation. He came back from this. The man who shot him was a medical researcher, brilliant man, successful man, but the School of Medicine had dismissed him 10 years. 2006, he was dismissed from the School of Medicine for mismanaging data. He sued the school twice to try to prove that they had fired him needlessly or that they had fired him because of some sort of personal thing. He lost both suits. And so finally, 10 years after he was dismissed, Dr. Charney was the dean of the school, and he was on the committee that made the decision to dismiss the man that shot him. 10 years later, this man went to a deli where he knew Dr. Charney went, waited for him outside, and shot him. Now, it's very easy for me to stand up here and say, well, the man who shot Dr. Charney was a very resilient. But it sure appears from his behavior that he chose to personalize his firing. He was dismissed and he took it personally. And he just carried it around with him. It sounds like he was almost obsessed by his dismissal. And he made it pervasive. Apparently influenced every part of his life. If you sue somebody for the same thing twice, that's pretty pervasive, isn't it? And he chose to say this is a permanent situation. He could have chosen, upon his dismissal as a researcher from the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai Hospital, he could have chosen to say, this is horrid. This is terrible. I feel awful. He could have gone through all those feelings, but he could have decided that he was going to take that opportunity of his dismissal to be resilient, to come back from that stronger, wiser, and more personally powerful. But he didn't. He decided to sue again. And when that didn't work, go shoot the person that represented the people who hurt him. How easy it is, at least for me, to take that personal. My own life, I still deal with stuff that happened in my life that I'm still uncomfortable with. And sometimes I go to that fantasy world where I say, wow, I'd sure like to go back and fix that. But what we need to understand is when the writer of Proverbs invites us not to depend on our own wisdom, the writer is inviting us to understand God is a God of love, who not only can, but who does redeem everything, and who gives us the ability to come back from anything stronger, wiser, and more personally powerful than ever. Resilience. Keep on keeping on. Resilience is perseverance. But perseverance with a twist. Now, I'm not talking about twisted lemon peel, but perseverance with a twist. And the twist is we persevere, and we have a twist on it because we understand that in our perseverance we are part of something that is much bigger than we can possibly imagine. Perseverance with a twist that understands that it's not just about me. It's about God. It's about each other. It's about all of creation. Perseverance with a twist. A twist of understanding that we can be resilient. Dr. Charney is quoted as saying in the New York Times article about this, Once you are a trauma victim, it stays with you, he said. Once you are a trauma victim, it stays with you. Doesn't go away. Once you are a trauma victim, it stays with you. But I knew I could be a role model. I have thousands of students watching my recovery. This gives me a chance to utilize what I've learned. Resilience. Persistence with a twist of understanding. Our persistence is to help other people build their resilience. Perseverance.